Yeah, I think it's cool.
I,
It's in the ether.
I would keep that.
Didn't Kanye too have a show or something or some sort of TV deal or?
Probably. Yeah.
Everyone, man.
J. Cole did the doc with him. Yeah. Jay's got. I heard like a new deal with Apple. That's
Yeah,
all in
that's the new
DL.
thing now. And Cash Money, I think,
Right.
just signed with
Right, yeah.
Apple.
Everybody wants content, right? So it's Cash Money's doing that. I saw the trailer for it. Baby's the narrator. It's
Yeah.
a little weird because they're sometimes I find it hard when those guys try to tell their own story. They think that stuff that's interesting is maybe not as interesting to the viewer. So yeah, it's interesting.
Beaming from Pacific Junction Hotel to Earth. Girth.
Right. Yeah.
Do you want to jump on the mic too? I can get you on. You sure?
Yeah, he's got nothing.
Just a supporter.
Okay.
Just
Just
kidding.
a supporter.
Mike's just my drinking buddy, but he did help me hook up a lot of interviews. And we had a hot dogs. We had an after party, and Mike killed it. We had a Melly Mel at the Soho House. Yeah, it was great. Yeah. What are you drinking?
Cucumber Collins. It's
That
kind of
sounds
just
pretty
like it got warm all of a sudden again. So.
Is booze in there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I should mix it up because the beers makes me fat.
We can get some food too after. So.
Dope. Thanks,
Yeah.
man. That's great.
Sure.
So what's your story? We were saying you look familiar, eh, Mikey? Yeah.
I've seen you around,
Yeah.
and I know like.
Yeah, he's a.
Yeah.
guy.
And then I just know like people within the industry. So.
Are you from Toronto?
Yeah, from Toronto. Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm born 74, so 40,
Oh,
41.
You're
Yeah.
younger than me.
Yeah.
42.
42. Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
You
I've
don't
just
look like it.
no. Thankfully, I know. Well, that's why I'm also radio too, right? So
Yeah,
just
yeah,
radio
yeah,
face,
right. Face for radio.
radio face for radio. So they keep you where you belong. No, but I've done just like I've worked with bands. I've been video producer. I've done like I tour managed one band from Toronto to Vancouver.
Cool.
I've done work at Edge 102. I've worked with filmmakers.
Yeah, your name is familiar to me for sure.
Okay, that's good. I'll take it. That's probably my 15 minutes.
Yeah, there you go.
So, do you want to get started?
Yeah, let's do it.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And we're just gonna go right to we're gonna start off right from the start.
Yeah, sounds great.
The docu series is is that what it's called? The docu
Yeah, I guess
series.
you could call it a docu series. It's funny. It's had so many incarnations. I'm not quite sure what to call it.
Okay. The docu series thing.
Yeah.
It's the origins of hip hop. But what
Right.
are your origins of hip hop?
Oh, I'm glad you asked me this because I always, don't think people know this about me. I'm not actually a Toronto guy. I've lived here for like maybe 20 years, but I'm actually from near Windsor, a town called Erio, Ontario. It's like a little peninsula with like 500 people in the winter, about 2,000. It's a nice little summer area. So
Yeah.
right across the lake from me is Cleveland, Ohio, and then like literally 40 minutes the other side of Detroit. So I would say my hip hop like ins are from Detroit. I used to tape a show called The Electrifying Mojo on my like radio, and I just love music. I always have. My uncles brought that in. My dad's a big music guy, not necessarily a rap guy, but he definitely liked all kinds of music, whether it was rock or Marvin Gaye or soul. But my uncles were the cool ones. They were a little bit younger. They were into P-Funk, and that sort of got me into that stuff. And so I would tape the show, and they would play like what now I guess is considered Detroit techno.
Yeah.
But they'd also play rap. So they'd play like Melly Mel and the Furious Five. Planet Rock was for me like, wow. I remember hearing that and being like, what is this? And
It did sound like it was from outer space.
Right. Yeah. And so I taped that, and so me and my friends, we would be crazy, and we'd drive I bought all my records in Detroit at a place called Northland Mall. If you're a Detroit person, you might know where this is. And so I remember like, I couldn't exactly pinpoint the first rap record I bought, but I would always go there, and it just, eventually turned into me buying everything. It was one of the big first ins for me was Boogie Down Productions, buying that. Sometimes I would buy like records just on the cover. I bought De La Soul on the cover. I remember going like, whoa, this looks cool.
The 3 feet. And
Right, you got it. Yeah, so that's my in. It's that neighborhood of. But then Cleveland was a big influence too. I think people don't know that Cleveland was pretty. I guess black music oriented. There's the stations there that would rule. They played Prince the first time and stuff. So yeah, I would say for me that was the first inclinations of getting into hip hop. But then I went, I'd go to concerts there. I remember my parents let me go to see Public Enemy when I was in like grade 10.
Nice.
So, yeah.
I've never seen Public
Oh,
Enemy.
you gotta see Public Enemy.
Yeah.
They're great live. I remember the best part of that. I drove with my friends in like his crappy little Sprint. There's three of us, three white guys, and we went to the Fox Theater and watched him. And I remember like Flavor Flav coming out and seeing like three white kids and giving us pounds because we had really good seats. Just like that, obviously being like, I'm just gonna make sure you guys don't get your asses kicked, But yeah, that's my first in, and then. From then on, I've just been a fan, buying it and loving it and being able to cover it. I moved to Toronto for school for Ryerson, but I wasn't taking anything like I'm doing now. I was taking social work.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's completely different.
Yeah, it's come in handy. That's for
Yeah.
sure. But then from then on, I don't know if you want me to give you the whole spiel here, but I went to...
I opened it, so let's go
yeah,
down that
thanks.
road.
Yeah, I might as well. So then from then on, I went... my friend interned at a show called Big Life with Daniel Ritzler at CBC, and she was like, you're such a music nut. You should talk to Daniel. So I went in, and there was a PA job, and I interviewed, and I got the job on the spot. So from then on, I started to do, whether it was TV production stuff and helping, I really learned the hard way by doing it, forcing me to do it. There's sometimes be like, we don't have a camera person. Can you run it? And I'd be like, sure. And I learned that way, and I learned to edit there. And
That's usually the best way to learn, though.
It was pretty great. I remember kids coming from Ryerson, and they were in journalism or in RTA, and they didn't know how to do crap that I knew. It was like, okay, I'll teach you how to run a beta machine, Meanwhile, you paid all this money for that, and I'm getting paid to do it. So it was great experience. And then from then, I got poached by Denise Donlin to go work at the New Music I worked at a show called Undercurrents first for a year with Wendy Mesley as like a PA, book and travel, and doing a little research. And then I got poached by Denise through Avi Lewis, the good filmmaker, journalist who was the host of New Music. He
and Naomi
me.
Klein.
Right, that's her partner. And I went and had an interview there, and I got the job at New Music. Basically, like 3 weeks before I think George Strombolopoulos was hired. And then I got hired. And
that was a great run, that show.
Right, yeah, it was a blast. It really was. And then from then I went and I produced, helped out and produced a couple other shows there a bit, like Going Coastal, it was called, Much West with Nardwar stuff. And then I did Rap City and Much Vibe for a bit. And then I jumped over with George and went to The Hour at CBC.
Mm-hmm.
And I helped conceive and come up with that show. And worked there for about 7 years.
That was another great run, too.
Yeah, really cool. Yeah, that was awesome, too. We got to do whatever we wanted to and do new stuff and really hadn't been done. And then from then on, I left that show and just jumped into documentary film work. Yeah, I went over to Banger Films. They were doing metal stuff, but they had been approached by the
Sam
broadcaster.
Dunn and all
you
that.
got it. Sam Dunn and Scott McFadden, real music fans. Banger, Sam primarily was, total headbanger, but he's a music fan. I think people pigeonhole him a little bit. He's a bass player. He loves funk. Stanley Clarke is his favorite, and Scott is a cool guy. Like Scott loves all. I remember when I got there, he goes, you got to make me like some rap playlist. So I would do that for those guys. And then we just started to work on this. And I originally wasn't going to direct it. I was going to help them sort of find people to do it. And I think that when we were doing it, they were just like, well, why don't you do it? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I think I could, and that's how it worked out. So there's a couple. I think that, it's funny, the process of going through this thing, was people who came in and we talked, and it just wasn't knocking it out the park for them. And they were just like, the more that I was in these meetings with people, they were like, wow, you just know so much more and you have a different bent on it, So from then on, I recruited people, and, that's sort of how it got going.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. It was supposed to be 2 films.
Okay.
Actually, it was supposed to be a 10-part series.
That was my next question, because that you're talking because you're just starting basically at the very beginning of rap.
1973, you got it.
Right,
Yeah.
and so
It's
DJ,
not even rap yet. Sam.
not even.
Right.
It's just nothing yet, right? And it's just like DJ Kool Herc and that starts to snowball, right? Obviously.
Yep.
But I'm like, how? I mean, they did the same thing with heavy metal, right? They just charted it from the beginning and then kind of let it like Sam Dunn and those guys, right? So how is it daunting to kind of try and tackle and like squeeze all this?
I had one MO when we started. I said we gotta get Kool Herc. That was my thing. If we don't get Kool Herc, this is gonna be weird.
Yeah, it doesn't actually make sense in a way.
So now the thing is, I don't know if you know about Herc. Herc just does not do stuff.
Yeah.
He is hard to get to, and he just says no because he's been screwed over.
Yeah.
And it's not in his best interest to really give it all. So. Do you know the comedian Russell Peters?
Yeah, I know Russ. Yeah,
so
yeah.
Russ is an executive on the
I was gonna ask about that too. We got a lot to get to.
Right. I can kill this one for you. This
all right.
answer. Question, I mean. So Russell and I are friends. We've been friends for a while. We're hip hop homies. you
Yeah.
know?
Russell
And-
even spins and stuff
Right,
too.
he loves hip hop.
Yeah.
That guy, he knows so much. He's a real revelation to me in that world, you know. And he said, "I know Herc. You want me to call him?" I'm like, "Dude, sure." So I go over to Russell's house I have breakfast. This is what you do with Russell. Russell sleeps late.
Yeah.
So he's in
Comedian.
Mississauga. Right, yeah. Are you Indian?
No.
okay.
I'm different brown. I'm Egyptian.
Oh, okay.
Next door.
Strombo's Egyptian, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, funny. So he sleeps late. I go have breakfast with him. He says, "We'll call Herc after breakfast." We eat breakfast, go back. Russell does his typical thing where he's walking around his house in his underwear, you know, he's got his shirt off, and he gets Herc on the phone. He's like, "Don't say you're here." I'm like, "Fine." He's got him on the speaker, and he talks him into it. And he says, "Russell, finally, for you, I'll do it. Give Darby my number." And from then on, it just took off, you know. And I think getting Herc was the biggest coup for us. It really made it feel like, okay, we're doing this. This isn't just going to be like, I don't know, like behind the music or where you'd show videos or something. You were going to talk to him and get to him. And I guess before that, I should back up. I'd also, you know, we did a little bit of recruiting to get to Shad. And Shad we had to have a Canadian host for one in order to tap into Canadian funding and tax credits, which you need to do in order to make films here. So,
Yeah, this is Bell funded and
right, you got it. Yeah, and Rogers group of
There's a
funds
couple of
helped
people
us.
involved, yeah.
OMDC, yeah, shout out. And we already had Shad. Shad just seemed so natural. He's such a scholar and really good and respectful. And I don't know, I could have, you know, I don't want to sound, you know, like I'm dissing any Canadian hip hop guys because I love them all, but his age and where he was at seemed pretty good, you know. The one thing he wasn't going to do is get us people because no one really knew who he was in the States anyways. But,
Yeah.
so that was a real strong thing, I think, anyways. But we had him, and so we went and did Herc, and I think that really, you know, snowballed. Like, when I had to get Run DMC, I talked to Daryl.
how cool was that,
Right,
eh? Run
yeah.
DMC.
It wasn't easy to get to them, though. They were just sort of avoiding me, Run DMC. It's funny, but I remember I took my wife, and Daryl had a comic book, and he was doing a signing, and I went to the signing in New York, and I was like, I get up to get with him, and I bought a comic book, me and my wife, he looks at me, and he's like, "You're not here for a comic book, are you?" And I go, "No." He read me, and I told him, and I said, "We got D, I need you. We got Herc." But, you know, I said, "Bam, Flash." He goes, "You got Herc?" And he stood up and he yells at his manager, "Eric, get over here. They got Herc." So that was it, you know. So
Yeah.
Herc really helped us. I think people have such respect for him
Yeah.
and what he did, and it just snowballed from that. Yeah.
And then you mentioned like growing up and kind of peering into Detroit, Cleveland,
Right.
and like you just mentioned also like Russell's Canadian, Shad is Canadian. You're like,
Yeah.
how is it you're telling a story that is very much, especially the first two episodes, very much based in New York City? I mean, rap is synonymous with New York
First
City.
three episodes.
First
all
three
New York,
episodes,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So it's just like, how are you through that Canadian lens telling a very American New York City kind of story? Does that kind of change it or
I
warp
think
it?
it
Or
helps it. You know, it's hard. I don't know if people think of this, but I think this is a real thing that you can, but you might not always do it the right way or with a lens back of being in the scene and tell the story. You can do it. It happens. But I think when, you know, like you ever watch like Reggae Britannica? Like all the good reggae docs are done by the Brits, right? So I think that outsider perspective helped us get people because they're like, well, these guys aren't. There's no like past thing like, oh, I know Darby, he knows this guy, and you know, politics and hip hop within the circles is a big thing. I mean, I think anybody
Beef.
right. It's not always even beef. It's just like, what does this guy want from me? Whereas we were just like pretty genuine. I think they knew that we had a lot of love and we're pretty well researched, and you know, I'm a white guy, so that sometimes I think could be a flag. But I never got any of that stuff. They really saw what I would talk to them and do pre-interview stuff too, and I think they got to. I met Herc before. We went. Rodrigo and I drove to before, and we went to Herc's 40th anniversary in Central Park, and he took me right under his wing, you know, and introduced me to all these other people. Like I met Kaz there the first time, and Rakim, and I think that perspective of being a Canadian and being an outsider, it helped. There's no doubt about it, because you could tell the story with an open angle. There's no agenda.
yeah.
Right, so I think that's something that was a strong thing for us. I remember Kool Moe Dee was sort of frustrated when he interviewed me. He sort of looks at it before the interview. He's like, "Why is a bunch of Canadians from Toronto doing this?
Yeah.
Why hasn't anybody done this?" And I think that stood out for me. I was like, "Oh yeah, you're right. You know, I never thought of it that way." But I think I mean, I hope Canadians hearing this are encouraged by that and go, oh, you're right. I can be that outsider perspective. There's also the hip hop guys know they've been up here. They know our, there's Caribbean roots. There's all kinds of West Indian roots that happen here, and they know that we know our music, And it did I think it helped a little bit that Drake was super hot too. It was sort of happening,
We're from the 6.
Right. Yeah, we weren't the 6 when we started, I don't think, though. The 6 maybe was like, because this is like 3 years.
T-dot, then?
Yeah, we
T-dot?
were still the T.O or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I do, it's funny. I'm glad you picked up on that because I think it was a strength for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you were saying when your origins in terms of like how you discovered rap, started listening to rap, and I was trying to think too, just as you were talking, like I can't remember the first like rap record or rap song I heard or whatever, but it was a lot of the earlier stuff like Ice-T.
Right.
Like,
oh, good one.
You know what I mean? And it's just like wow, like there was nothing like that in Toronto.
You like Ice-T?
No, he hasn't hold up, but just for sheer nostalgia.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always ask people that because he's one of those guys who's like, nah.
Yeah.
Or it's like, yes, I love him so much. He's great. His voice. And yeah, I think he's amazing. Yeah, he's one of the better interviews we had, actually.
Yeah, no, he's a smart guy. Like
Right.
he was one of the first guys that kind of knew what he was doing, and like even as the money was coming in, he was living in Beverly Hills with that wife, and
Right.
like
Yeah,
but
Darlene.
yeah,
Yeah.
but he was still living like talking about the street and like hustling and
Yeah.
stuff. You know?
I still think Ice is connected. Just talking to him, yeah. He's like, I still got guys watch me. He says, I might be on, they say they like CIS or whatever. What's his show? CSI. I'm here with my friend Mike here. CSI, and they're like, I remember saying to me, they still check me on CSI, but they really check me on what I'm actually saying about the streets. I can't just say anything,
Yeah.
You know, the funny thing about him is, he did the Art of Rap, and it was a documentary.
Yeah.
It was mostly about emceeing and that idea.
I like that documentary.
Right, I did too a lot. It was really great. Ice is great.
Yeah.
But his manager was really afraid. He's like, why is Ice going to do an interview for your doc? We just did a doc, right?
Yeah.
And I remember at the end of the interview, he said to me, he goes, you guys aren't doing the Art of Rap. I said that. And I was like, I told you. I tried to tell George, this, but it's really funny that I think that he was afraid we were going to bite his manager's afraid we were going to bite all that idea, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But we were sort of delving about history and moments and where were you and this first thing, and whereas Ice's Art of Rap, which people should see, is about the art of rap.
Yeah, I think it was the movie poster was in Chaz's room, or was it him? I think.
And Kaz.
Kaz's room.
Is in it.
Yeah,
Kaz
yeah.
kills that movie.
Yeah.
It's really good. Kaz kills our movie too.
Yeah.
By the way. What a guy, Grandmaster Kaz.
It's interesting too when you interview the older guys. They're still got a lot of pride. Like we won that
my
battle,
God.
and like, and it's like you were asking them about stuff about like late 70s, early 80s, obviously, right? But
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yo, we were the best ones on the street. We were like,
Yeah.
that pride is still.
Melly Mel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mel wears that stuff like a badge of honor, and so does Kaz. I love that because I think that they deserve it, and they did. They were the. I sound like a broken record about this, and I guess it's a little bit like cliche, but no Jay-Z, if there's no Kaz and Mel, there's no Jay, there's no Nas, there's no Drake. I'm just telling you, you can be as into, Waka Flocka, whatever.
Yeah.
Those guys are the template. And it changed. There's no doubt about it. But it's like my dad once said to me, I remember my dad is like a blue drinker. He's like, oh, I have Guinness. I come up with Guinness. He's like, what is that? And I'm like, oh, you're so white bread Canadian, dude. And I'm like, Dad, look at the date.
Yeah.
No Guinness, or no blue, no
Yeah.
Guinness. No
Yeah.
Guinness, no blue. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's funny.
No, that makes sense. And I mean,
The template.
the
Sammy,
template, yeah. But also, like, I didn't realize it was like, I think it was in the first episode, you said there was like maybe about a 10-year window or so where
Right.
like they were doing a lot of like cool herc parties and all that kind of stuff, and it's spreading in the different boroughs and things like that. But they weren't putting it on wax yet. It wasn't
No.
like,
They
I didn't
know
realize
how
that.
to do that, right? They didn't
Yeah.
have the actual ability to have it recorded, and like their jams were 15 to 30 minutes long, right?
Yeah.
Like the Cold Crush would go on forever against the Fantastic, and so I think Flash was a big part of that too. Flash was just like, I don't know how to do a song, It took, if you go back and look at Flash's history, he sort of got left in the dust a little bit because he couldn't figure that out, right? So he figured out one part of it was like get the MCs, but as far as recording, if you do your research, he's not in the message. He's not on the message. It's the MCs. He's not in those songs, right? So it's funny. Not everybody figured it out, and some of them. I mean, Flash obviously does really well now, and he's so good. But
Yeah.
because he's just the DJ principles. But as far as recording stuff, I don't know what's the Grandmaster Flash hit. I mean, his name's on there, but he's not on the record.
Yeah.
Right. He's not on White Lines. He's not on the message. right? I think he's on Super Rap and like he did the music for that, but I don't know. Yeah.
He reminds me, kind of even just watching your thing. He reminded me a little bit of Stan Lee. Just like kind
sort of wild and weird.
Yeah, and like he
that's an interesting analogy, right?
He contributed at the beginning.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you can't deny his contribution,
Oh
but
my
there was all
God.
these other elements, as you were saying in the documentary, right? That kind of came together to form it. But
Yeah.
he's this still elder statesman, much like Stan Lee is, and like
You remember Curtis Blow? He says when people think about rap today, they think about the voice.
right.
And I appreciate the DJ too, but just where it's at now, if you want to peel back that, Flash is important, but Melly Mel is way more important in my estimation. You know.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was the other thing that was kind of interesting how rap evolved too. Was like Public Enemy came out with a consistent DJ. Run DMC, right, had Jam
Right.
Master Jay, consistent DJ.
Yeah. That's
Whereas-
the Park stuff. They were just influenced, right? It's
Yeah.
like the principles of hip hop, which should, still be upheld, but not everybody upholds them anymore.
But that's almost more like a band or a gang in a sense, right? Whereas
Right.
when you pick up the new Jay-Z album or Kanye, you'll see like a list of like 10 people, right? Just Blaze and No ID and all these different
Right,
people.
yeah.
Like
did you go to Kanye this week? at
I
all?
did,
you?
yeah.
So where was the DJ?
everything was built under the stage.
Okay.
Under not the floating stage, under the regular.
Yeah.
But he did have apparently somewhat of a band.
Oh, he did. Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool. Because I wondered that. I saw I was supposed to go, but I had to do early morning stuff, so I didn't end up going. And I really like seeing him live. He's amazing. But I wondered. I was like, so where's the music coming from? He's floating around on this big thing. And I mean, it could have been a DAT. I've seen many a hip shop shows
Yeah.
with a DAT's at, but I'm like, oh, people paid $250. Give them a band or a DJ. Right?
Yeah, I think just from what he was saying in interviews, it's similar to how Shad tours. You know how Shad will have like a real live bass player,
Right.
and then he'll
Yeah.
have like a DJ in the
Kino,
corner,
yeah.
right? And so there's kind of like half instrumentation,
Cool.
half.
Yeah,
like,
I know that Mike Dean played keyboards a lot for Kanye, so I'm being nerdy here, but
No, he gave him a shout out too.
Great,
So
great,
he was obviously there, but I think there was like another layer underneath the floating stage.
cool. Yeah.
And so they just
Kanye gets it. I would not be surprised. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing about Kanye, and I think that there, as much as he's a huge pop star, that guy flies the hip hop flag. He loves it.
Yeah.
He knows it. I've interviewed him twice.
Mhm.
He is so knowledgeable about hip hop and appreciates it, right? Yeah, like I always like guys that are like sing the praise of DJ Premier. That to me is like, okay, yes, you get it. And
Yeah.
that's Kanye. So anyways, I don't want to derail a Kanye.
No, because I mean, it's all like you were saying, like it's just the building blocks of
Right.
how we got to
Yeah.
Kanye and how we got to Jay-Z and all these people,
Yeah,
right?
I think that's what we're trying to do. And I mean, it's hard. I remember when we were doing the series too, the broadcaster was like, well, can you include like J. Cole and Kendrick and what was Drake thinking about? I'm like, they don't think about those guys. They don't know about those guys. So, I mean, we could have asked Nas, maybe that would
Yeah.
have been the level, and we tried to do that with a few things, but when we were trying to edit it in, it didn't work.
Mhm.
It was way better when the guys are telling their story. And I know that's a risk you take, that you might not get a 19-year-old's eyes on it, but I feel like, to me, I'm like, well, maybe they're going to watch it 5 years from now and be like, oh, okay, this is the history.
Yeah.
Maybe when you get older, you're not so rebelling against what's old and you're, maybe taking it in, so I hope that works out. But it is a risk. And I get why the broadcasters wanted those people, because it's a draw. You want Drake.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks good, but we intentionally tried. We tried it. It didn't work. Yeah.
But I noticed too, like when you see like when you go to like a YouTube video and you'll
Right.
like listen to De La Soul or something, you can tell, but just by the way that they write it, it's like a younger person, and it's like we don't have shit like this anymore. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
they'll
yeah,
use some
yeah,
sort of like
yeah.
weird slang or whatever, and it's like yeah,
That's funny.
because that was our golden era, all those guys,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, sure. We interviewed De La, but they never made it in the series. We never went that far, so hopefully we can get some more.
Is that
going.
the plan then, to kind of keep going? Because like how?
I guess there's not a real plan for that, but I think there is some enthusiasm for it. I think it's all going to be like, how's it going to do?
Yeah.
We had a lot of a lot of views on the trailer, which is encouraging, so that's good. Yeah.
And you had the hot dogs, and that went well.
Right, yeah, it was great. Yeah. We got great reviews for sure. Yeah. It looks it's worked out pretty good. I mean, people have only seen the first two, so we'll see how 3 and 4 go. Yeah.
What surprised you? Like, was there anything that you learned or like that kind of
for
stood out to
sure.
you? Or
DJ Hollywood. I'm not from New York City, so
that guy was cool.
yeah. I mean, Hollywood. There's another guy. Like, he's more like in that showman vein of disco rap, but the hip hop guys don't consider him hip hop. because he's not from the Bronx, and he kicked them out of the club. He was like but Russell Simmons and Nelson George and Curtis Blow were like, that guy was the man. He was the man in New York City.
Yeah.
Right? So that's something I learned about. And then his things he would say are in hip hop now. Yes, yes, y'all. And, you don't stop, and like all these like. There's a lot of other stuff. You could go through, like, if you listen, I've heard Busta Rhymes say about, like, 10 Hollywood things in the rhymes. And I would go back and hear that and go, like, oh, wow. Even Public Enemy say stuff that you're like, oh, when I was listening to Hollywood stuff, I'm like, okay. And Chuck D said he listened to him, too, right? So, yeah, that was a revelation for me, just the innovation that he had, and he was never appreciated at all. And, I mean, Hollywood had a hard time. Like, these guys... Drugs was a big thing for them, a lot of them fell into Herc and Mel, and Hollywood was one
parties,
of them.
right? So
also they partied all of them partied at Disco Fever, Sal Abatiello's awesome club in the Bronx. But what ended up happening is that they would have good cars and then the best drugs, and cocaine was a big thing. But then when crack came in, they just thought it was parcel of the same thing, but that just completely derailed them, and it destroyed a lot of the guys. Yeah, they came back, and Hollywood's doing great. He still DJs, and I talked to him the other day, he called me up. He's like, I saw the trailer, and he's so stoked. And I hope that people can really, really hammer home this idea that there's not just who you think created rap. Hollywood's only a blip. He's a big guy, but in that same vein, there was other guys, Ludwig Starsky was doing the same thing, and Eddie Chiba.
Yeah, that was an interesting part, because it was like barely 40 minutes in the first episode, you're already like, because of guys like Hollywood versus like say DJ Kool Herc and stuff, it's like, what is hip hop? And that tension is already created. I didn't realize that tension was there from the get-go.
You know what's funny? They're friends though. Like, they're all friends.
Yeah.
Thing. But yeah, like they don't, like, I remember Theodore's like, DJ Grand Wizard Theodore's like, Hollywood kicked me out of a party, man, and we are hip hop. He's not. He wanted to be hip hop later when we got hot.
Yeah.
He hated us, but if you're like, I think Russell Simmons makes this point. If we're talking about them, and Curtis, we're talking about rap, and you cannot deny the guy had an influence. He was, and of course, Russell equates it to how much he charged to get into the club.
I know, the capitalist.
Right, yeah, so, but yeah, that was a big revelation for me. And then little things, like, I love Grandmaster Kaz's stories about just the early parts of the battle and what they would do, and they would try to stack the room of the cold crush people.
Yeah.
So I knew I would be lying to you if I didn't tell you I knew a lot of that stuff, but just from being a nerd. But it was I learned little things, but Hollywood for sure for me was a big revelation, and it was mostly from Nelson George being like, you gotta include Hollywood, you gotta include him. And then we went to interview Russell. Russell was so passionate about it. He's like, if you're gonna do a doc about hip hop, if you don't include him, you're not doing a doc. So that was a big learning thing.
Is hip hop going through this kind of nostalgia? Because it's getting, if you go by the DJ
Everybody
Kool,
tells me.
yeah, right? Because I mean, like the Get Downs on Netflix, we had Dope just last year.
I mean, I've been going through this nostalgia for 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
So no, personally, no, I'm going to be going through it. Probably Mike knows forever, my friend Mike over here. But yeah, for sure, the Get Downs out there, and yeah, it's funny. I turn my kids on to like the Furious Five. I'm like, if they're gonna listen to like, and they're 11 and 9, if they're gonna listen to stuff, I want them to hear the message, right? So they know all the words to the message, and they think that, and they meet Mel. I took them to the hot dogs.
Nice.
Yeah, they're like, whoa, and I'm like, this is the guy who did the message, and they're just like, whoa. So I like to ingrain that in people. But yeah, it's funny. Maybe there is a nostalgia thing, but I've been talking to people lately, and the real buzz thing out there now is 90s hip hop, right? So
yeah,
clubs are playing 90s hip hop night. So I think there is. I mean, I'm maybe the wrong guy to ask about that, because it's my world all the time. If it's nostalgia, then yeah, it's news to me.
I was surprised because you mentioned the 90s clubs and stuff. I was in Chicago about a year ago, and it was one of those, like, we ended up just in some random bar. We were just meeting some people.
Yeah.
And it was like some sort of start of the school year kind of thing or whatever. So it was all like younger kids, 19, 20. Yeah, and then all that kind of stuff came on, right? Like some De La Soul came on or whatever.
Cool.
And Tribe and like Can I Kick It? And like, I'm like, how you kids know all this stuff?
Yeah.
Like, but it was
like, I think it happens, like Michael Jackson, got big, and like I even remember my brother being like so into Led Zeppelin, and he's like 8 years younger than me actually, and I'm like, my uncle's going, what do you know about Led Zeppelin? You know what I mean? But I think that happens, and you know, the De Las and the Q-Tips, and maybe they are the Led Zeppelins and the Stevie Wonders of today, you know?
Yeah, because I mean, the names you have in this series, like DJ Kool Herc, LL Cool J, who's kind of been inactive. Like, I know he's been doing a lot of acting, but he hasn't.
Yeah, he
like,
doesn't do a lot of music here and there.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, these are like Ice-T. We just talked about Ice-T, right? Like, these are like big like contributions.
Right, they're legend. Yeah, Run DMC, Big Daddy Kane, Rakim. Like, Rakim
that guy's awesome.
Yeah, Rakim is changed it. You know, like, and I think there's a part in the doc. I don't want to give out too much information where Run DMC are just sort of like, we're over once we hear him. It's done.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, they're done.
Yeah.
He single-handedly came in and just wiped guys out with his cadence and flow and that rhyme, and he never swore. Yeah, I was one of the proudest things that I had I never even thought about this, but when we did the screening at Hot Docs, Melly Mel, the first thing he said after we did a Q&A, and he was like, I just want to say, did you hear one thing about cussing, putting down bitches and hoes or guns in that? And I never even thought about it. I was like, whoa. I mean, we have episode 4 coming, which completely screws that whole thing up.
Yeah.
But it's true, the first 3 episodes, there's not much of that going on. You could play this stuff for your kids. So,
right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Chris Rock has a joke about that. Like, rap is you have to defend rap. Right now, like he likes listening to rap, but you have to defend it. But he said, like, as part of the joke, for the older stuff, the Run DMC and all that kind of stuff, right? You could play for your kids and everything was fine.
You could play Rakim, any Eric B. and Rakim record. I mean, he makes innuendos of rhymes being drug sales and stuff, which is, you know, in hip hop now. But I mean, it's all clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, man, I heard stories about Eric B. and Rakim. Like, Russell Peters is good friends with Eric. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, there's some crazy stories about those guys. Like,
so you have another documentary to make then.
Those are the inside stories. I'm not such a big tabloidy guy, so as you can see, the docs aren't we don't really delve into too much of that stuff, you know. Yeah.
In terms of then, like, the foundation of rap and everything like that, when you were kind of going back and just listening to like the original crews and they're just kind of battling and DJ Kool Herc and stuff like that, were you able to kind of see how the ambition kind of started to slowly build so that because now rap is this juggernaut, and you talked about it right off the top, how it's just affecting politics and sports and stuff.
There's a few business guys who started to bubble in, like, you know, I'm thinking of Enjoy Records, and I'm really flaking on the guy who started Enjoy, Kumo D. Robinson. Oh, help me out here, Darby. Well, Enjoy Records was a label that was basically just a store in Harlem, and the name's gonna come to me. I'm sorry, his last name's Robinson too, which is interesting. I'm trying to get to the other part of the story. Enjoy is a store that's in Harlem, and it's just a record store, but he eventually ends up signing like Kumo D, the Treacherous 3, Flash, and the Furious, and then he basically gets them all poached away by Sugar Hill Records out of Sylvie Robinson in New Jersey. So that's really where the business side comes in. Like, I don't think there's stuff like Curtis Blow had early inclinations to start to get business. He's the first signed solo rap artist, but that's where it bubbles. You see it for sure. But Herc and, you know, Bam is doing stuff later a little bit, even from his early DJs with Tommy Boy, but it's not. It's like the idea of putting on wax. They didn't really see it as it was.
That's
what
what I was getting at. Yeah.
Is in there, you know, as a part of the culture. Obviously, I mean, we call it hip hop evolution, but it really should be called rap evolution because hip hop is a culture. You know, graffiti and breakdancing and
the elements of.
You got it, the 4 elements, and that's. I mean. I know I'm going to get my butt kicked for calling it Hip Hop Evolution, but I mean, it'd be really hard to do a 4-part series with all that stuff in it, you know. We touched on it. You know, Grand Mixer DXT, who did Rocket, he was an original B-boy.
Yeah.
Perk and Bam, you know. So we got those guys, but they
and the director of Wild Style and like
Charlie Ahern, right?
Yeah. So you did touch on like
right, yeah. We didn't really knock that out of the park, but it was with intent. We didn't have time to do it, right? So, but you see, you know, and those guys are, you know, that's really interesting. You brought up Charlie too. That's when I know it takes a white guy to step in for people to realize it's happening, right?
This is
It sort of sucks, but that's the reality of, you know, the USA. And but Bobby Robinson's story from Enjoy Records, him, Sylvia Robinson. Those people were the first ones to see it, you know, and take it. And then you had Russell follow in their footsteps, Russell Simmons with Def Jam. But yeah, I don't think it was really like they weren't entrepreneurs. They didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
Gigging, that worked.
Well, especially because if you're popular at the parties and you're meeting girls,
you're the man.
Yeah.
Right. You got
so
it.
I'm like,
yeah, that's exactly it, right? Yeah.
Just the idea. I mean, now
Mark was like a street superstar.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's what
Even
he was.
I like in the when Shad is interviewing Africa Mabata and
Yeah.
the interview's getting interrupted.
That's only part of it too. We got like Bam in the Bronx River was. I know there's a lot of crap going on with Bam right now.
Yeah.
But, I mean, his contribution is very deep.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was funny. Even with that crap it was bubbling, I believe, at that time. We didn't really know about it. When we finished, we heard all the allegations. But there was people who came up like they were going crazy when he walked in there. It was wild, man. Yeah, it was really wild. I love that part of the documentary for sure.
Do you think you mentioned this a little bit, but do you think guys that are coming up now or trying to put together a rap career or working in music and in general too, do they have to go back, you think, to listen to some of this stuff? Like, is it important, or do you think they can?
Yeah, I mean, maybe I think they just listen to their contemporaries now. I wish they would. I mean, imagine, you know, I'm pretty sure J. Cole listens to Nas and De La, and you can see it in him. And I feel like Drake.
Song called,
Can't Believe Nas Down. Yeah, that's a Cole song. And I can tell Drake has an appreciation for the culture. And there's guys that Kanye I mentioned, you know, Kanye's older though, he's like my age. But the new school, I would say probably don't even. You think Lil Yachty and those guys don't, and they don't care. I mean, they're getting criticized a lot for that now, you know. And I think
that's why I brought it up. Yeah,
well, that's the good thing about what Kanye and Jay and Nas did. They made it had to be hip hop and respect it. It had to be. The new generation, and maybe we got to blame Nas and Jay and those guys for not making it stronger and being more like, you got it. You can't be a rapper or be in this culture if you're not going to respect it. And I also don't blame the guys. They're 19. I mean, did you give a shit about? I mean, your parents' stuff like those guys. Like DJ Premier could be Lil Yachty's dad. Yeah. Right. Let's just think about this a little bit.
Well, Chuck D's really closing on 60s.
Right. We're really right. Like we're really curmudgeon about hip hop, but maybe we shouldn't call it hip hop anymore. That's my thing. I'm not quite sure if Waka Flocka is hip hop.
Yeah.
He might think he is. But
well, even some of Kanye's stuff too is really kind of pushed the edges of like.
But I don't want to fight against that though. It's like musical and music, and people want to progress, right? So I mean. I'm pretty forgiving, but I do have I have so many people who are like, oh, did you hear this guy trying to? Ebro played him a premiere, and he can't rap over it, and he said he wouldn't do it. I don't know that. I don't want to fuck with that old stuff. You know, it's like and the cardboard stuff. That's where you start. When you insult it, that bugs me. But I think we have to be a little bit more open-minded as fans and go like, you know, they're young. I mean, I don't know. Imagine like Stevie Wonder was like, I don't want to sound like that. I don't want to sound like what, you know, was before me. I want to progress.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is with hip hop, it's the real. The real is so important.
Keep it 100.
Right. And so if you can't hold that, then maybe you shouldn't be hip hop anymore. And maybe these guys aren't calling themselves hip hop. Maybe we're calling them hip hop. I think that's a problem, you know. So but I mean, there's bigger fish to fry. They might elect Trump down there. So
that's true, yeah. Because it's like I know from my own background. Like my parents came out of Egypt, and so when we were growing up, they knew who the Beatles were, and they knew who the Stones were, and they knew who Frank Sinatra was. So they had 3 good cornerstones. But like they've never heard of the Who,
right,
or Queen, or some of these other bands,
or the Kings,
yeah, Kings, and things. So they have these gaps,
right.
And so growing up, I heard Beatles and Stones and Frank Sinatra, so I was good. And then I would go to university, and people were like, "Yo, Led Zeppelin." Right. I'm like, I don't know, yeah. I'm like, I think I know Stairway to Heaven. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, people got to remember too the thing at the heart of music and rock and roll and hip hop. Those guys hated disco. They wanted to fucking slash that shit.
Yeah.
Is rebellion. So here I am swearing. I said I wasn't gonna swear. You got me passionate.
Yeah.
But that's rebellious music, and that's what music is. You want to fight, and so.
But all good art is not all good art, but a lot of art is like when you find something, you're like, I don't think that's good. We could do better. Right? And it's that anti-stance.
Have you heard of this kid Afro?
No.
He's a rapper. He's really good, and he's like this appreciator of the culture. But he sounds like now, but he loves all that stuff. I mean, I feel like there's gonna be just this like. Sometimes that's the renaissance. You have one guy who goes, and J. Cole was like this. You got to check this. I'm gonna rap about Nas, so you check Nas, right? So I think that's important. But I mean, not everybody can fall into that. They can't always fly the flag of Herc, you know?
Yeah, and I think too the other thing is like to kind of keep going with this topic is just that we get handed like to go back to like the Beatles, the Stones, DJ Kool Herc, all these guys, and we're like, this is important music. You just get every generation gets that handed to them.
Right.
I'm like, this is important. You can't disagree with this, right? And so you were like, but the kids have to kind of find the value of it, right? Like, does KRS work like for a kid today? Like, it was an 18-year-old kid.
If you're gonna push goth music on your kid, he's probably gonna like the fucking Beach Boys,
right?
Know? So, sort of the rebelliousness of everything.
You got to find your way into it. Every kind of like, you know.
I think we're too hard on these young rap guys. I really do.
You can't diss it.
They can't diss it. That's my beef.
Yeah, I'll give you
I'm
that.
not gonna diss head burn,
Yeah.
head rolling out of my head. Yeah, don't be a dick.
Yeah.
That's the best lesson, I think, Sammy. That's
All right. We're helping the young kids out today, which is great.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
So it premieres on Sunday on HBO Canada.
Yes. So it's going to premiere Sunday, 9 p.m. HBO Canada, and it's going to run consecutive Sundays.
And it's 4 episodes.
4 episodes, yeah.
And then are you hoping eventually to get it to the States or how? Because obviously.
I don't know if I can say anything about that.
Nope.
Can I say this, and if you have to cut it out?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, we sold it to Netflix. So outside of Canada, you can watch it. It's going to be in a couple weeks all over the world on Netflix. So
Okay.
If you're in the U.S. or Scandinavia or some, where do they like hip hop? Tokyo. They're doing like 6 different languages and subtitles. Japan, subtitles. It's pretty crazy. We're really stoked about that because it's going to be sort of paired with the Get Down. So
yeah. Spotify had that map not too long ago of like different genres by country.
Oh, cool.
Of where everyone was listening and streaming stuff, and rap was everywhere.
Yeah, it's the biggest genre in the world. There's no doubt about that. Yeah.
And it's just shocking because the stuff like we hear a lot of stuff based in North America.
Yeah.
Right? From like Drake to Lil Wayne to whatever. But it's just like I want to hear
Drake the biggest streaming.
Yeah, he's up there, right? Like but I want to hear stuff from like I don't know, Honduras or something or like Brazil.
Yeah, I
like
mean, the one interesting thing I think you could do, I think there's Dalton Higgins did a book about it, but there's like global hip hop is so different than North American hip hop, and the idea is like they're fighting. It's like human rights, civil rights. Those things are important to them. The early stuff like the Public Enemies and that all that stuff is really like Cuba. They are like it's political. Like a lot of the Latino rap they hold that in them. So I mean that's encouraging. As much as you hear Little Yachty and we're sitting there bitching about that stuff, I bet you if you pulled back and looked at the world and the way people use rhymes and incorporating beats, it's in that essence, which is really awesome, I think. And that's, I mean, I don't know if you're a Public Enemy fan, but
I like Public Enemy.
I'm a white guy. I remember the funniest thing. I was like like I said, I grew up really close to Cleveland, Detroit, so it's a fishing town. So, a lot of Detroiters love to fish in my town. They just love it. So there'd be a lot of blacks would come in. I remember I was painting my aunt and uncle at a camp, and I was like a kid. I'm painting. I'm listening to Takes a Nation of Millions, and these 2 black guys come in like, you like this? I was like, yeah. But I remember like after they left going, why did they do that? And then I'm like, well, maybe I'm not really listening to this like I should be. Maybe it's the beats that were rocking me, which it was. But after that, it did open my mind. And, you start to read stuff that Chuck would talk about and appreciate that sort of
It did the same thing for me, too.
Yeah.
Right?
I think it did for a gazillion kids,
Because that was really like...
Thank you, Chuck D.
Yeah, Chuck D like is awesome. Because... For me, same thing too. Where it's just like the messages that we were getting in school and things like that, and like the white police officer were coming with Elmer to save the elephant, and like if there was problems, you come to the cops and whatever. The messages we were getting from school were totally different than like Chuck D and other things. And like when NWA came out, and it was like
take a look, right?
Yeah.
No, it's true. I think KRS-One. This is cliche, but he called the rap the black CNN. So, and I even BDP for me revelation, and like think about how other people are getting treated outside of your little hub, and most of the time is people who are a lower income, maybe they're black or Latino, and they were like their day to day was not easy. Talking to guys in the episode 4, it's pretty fucking crazy about the LA experience that they had. I can't imagine my sons walking home and feeling that scared. And it wasn't just that gangbangers, police. So people who are supposed to protect you.
And when you can't trust that, then it messes you up.
Ice-T said this awesome thing. He was like, when the gang, the height of the gang conflict and the police in LA, it was around Daryl Gates, who, if you want to look into Daryl Gates and Google that name, you'll find just, this like crazy military, he was trained by a guy named William Parker, who was the LA's first, not maybe the first, but like right before Daryl Gates, like this, he ruled the cops for maybe 2 decades in Los Angeles, and then Daryl Gates took over, and they took every single African American in Compton and fingerprinted them. Didn't matter who you were.
Yeah.
So imagine that. How's that going to feel to you, right?
The whole Rampart scandal.
Right.
And like,
The stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you've seen the OJ documentary, but the first episode.
The 30 for 30.
They do the 4 parts.
Yeah, give me 5. That was an awesome
really good,
one.
Right? Yeah, the first episode is quite crazy because they really do this sort of parallel of OJ's sort of existence as a sort of guy who's in sports and also in the threat of becoming a celebrity with the LAPD. It's really great. I thought it's so funny. One of the things that cracks me up is that OJ's family is really shady. Like they were like pretty shady people, right? So it's really crazy though. But that idea that you see exactly where this all led to, and I remember in the trial they had the cops tapes was a big part of the reason why he got acquitted. So they did it to themselves a little bit.
Yeah. But I mean that's also the same way, like Jay-Z is another example similar to OJ in the sense that like Jay-Z can kind of go through these white cultures kind of. That's what.
That's funny you said that. There's girls from my high school who hated rap when I was in high school who now go to Jay-Z concerts.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Fuck you. Sorry.
No, that's a legitimate one though, right? But like,
it's funny.
and it's like I've heard people like say things like I don't like rap music, or like girls I know like I don't like rap music. It's terrible.
Girls out of guys too.
But like then they'll listen to like Beyonce or something like that, and it's like that's not how rap.
That's all good.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm
and so
like a curmudgeon down here.
Yeah.
Try to defend the youths.
The youths. We always go back to the youths.
Yeah.
So that's great. Thank you so much for coming in and like and people like Russell Peters, he's kind of seen it too and he's happy with it.
Yeah, Russ came to the hot dogs thing. He DJ'd and Melly Mel. Yeah, this was a pretty crazy. We had the premiere at the hot dogs festival. We had this really great little gathering after, and Russ DJ'd. Russ is a great DJ, and Mel got on the mic. So it was this really funny marriage of seeing they're really good friends actually. Russell's done a really good job of being like fanboy into Friends, but he did know a lot. Like I remember, I think he had told me he brought like Nice and Smooth and those kind of acts to Toronto, and he DJ Mastermind. He's on I think the Move 93.5, the Move, and they were partners, and Russ would host his mixtapes and stuff. So they're really deep. But Russell's been super helpful, and just a good partner in this whole thing, and a supporter. He loves the culture. Yeah.
What's next for you? Just as we wrap up, then.
I think I'm unemployed in a week because we're packaging the last show. But I am currently. We shot a little bit of a documentary about D&D Studios, which is DJ Premier Studios in New York. It basically everybody calls the Abbey Road of 90s hip hop. Jay-Z recorded Reasonable Doubt there. Nas did a bunch of Illmatic. Biggie did a bunch of Ready to Die in there. It's Premier's home. He made it his home, but it was owned by these two guys, Dave Lotwin and Doug Grama. And there were these two sort of out of fish. They weren't hip hop guys, little young Jewish guys, took their bar mitzvah money and bought this studio. And Premier just ended up there because he got kicked out of another studio, and it just became this mecca. Google it, every good hip-hop record in the 90s, a lot of them is from that place, and it got closed down last year. Gentrification, New York, so
New York is losing a couple of places in the last couple of years. It's going to be interesting to see how it kind of evolves.
It's sad. That place is so great, and the stories that are from that. So we're still looking at, we're in the early stages of that documentary. So hopefully that'll get kicking. And before that, I was working on a documentary about music for me is everything. So about a lot of the Jamaican pioneers who came to Toronto in the '60s, Jackie Matu and the Cougars and the Mighty Pope. So I actually buried that because I did the hip hop stuff, and it's taken a lot of years. So that's been going on for a while for me. So hopefully I'm gonna be able to revisit that in the next few months. And
How long did the hip hop one take?
It was almost like 3.5 years.
Oh, man.
Off and on.
Yeah.
Off and on 4 years actually. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Not easy to do.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can imagine. I mean, you got to shoot a lot for a documentary, right?
Right,
And then like,
then you got to clear all the music. The licensing is the most. I got to tell you, dejecting part of the whole process. But
Yeah.
that's another podcast.
but you got it all done though.
right. Well, we're close.
Close. All
yeah,
right.
it's real close. Yeah.
All right. Well,
It'll
and
be
then
on TV, and so that's
okay.
good. Yeah.
Just drop it on TV and then run away.
Yeah, I wish lawyers would be hounding me. Thanks for everything, Sam.
Thanks, Darby, for coming in, just kind of talking hip hop and
Yeah,
like,
I
you know.
liked it. I hope I didn't
so-
say anything too stupid. Did I say anything stupid?
No, we have a smart filter that we run everything through, so it'll like clean it up and
Sweet.
like take your smaller words and make bigger
Yeah,
words and
great.
like,
I like it.
yeah, that's what we do here.
I'm way more capable of saying stupider things than I think I just said, so that's good. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I only had the one beer. Yeah, I know. That's why we do it in a bar too. Then we get more honest interviews and stuff.
Right,
we get all
yeah,
the dirt.
You got me at midnight. Maybe let's
Yeah,
do this again. No,
yeah.
I had.
Let me tell you something.
Do you know who Schoolie D is?
Mhm.
So yeah, I remember after the Schoolie D interview, he called me up after. He's like, "Darby, come back to the place. I got more to say." And I was like, "Schoolie, it's like 2 a.m. The camera guys are sleeping." And then he said, "All right, fuck it. You're not gonna have a good fucking documentary." And then I'm just like, he's still pretty good though. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know Schoolie, he's a character.
Yeah. They were all awesome characters. Like when you sit down and just kind of look at them,
Right.
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. That's like leaving them on camera is such a let those guys tell their own stories for sure.
And that's, I mean, that's the thing with New York City too. New York City creates these characters.
Right.
We don't have as many characters and like stuff like that in Toronto.
Right, the jewel of the states, New York City. If you ask me, that's what it is, and I think that's why people are like that. You're on top of each other. The Bronx, for example, everybody's on top of each other. You're like, it's dense, right?
Yeah.
I love that place. It's just breeze community to me,
But it's that hustle and that energy.
Right.
Like once you step out of your apartment, your hotel room, it hits you.
Yeah, it's the hustle of New York is both a good thing to me and a bad thing in some cases, right? If you can't handle it, then you're gonna crash hard.
Yeah.
If you can handle it, you're gonna be huge.
Yeah, because even the hot dog guy wants to sell like 100 hot dogs
Right, yeah,
that
yeah,
day,
yeah.
right? It's not
No.
just somebody with like a
You
wrap.
got it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So it's just like everybody's working. So you got to beat the hot dog guy.
Right.
That's how hard you got to
that's a
hustle.
good-
It's Toronto.
That's pretty good. That's good, actually.
When Toronto, you can coast a little bit. You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
it's
there's
like,
not much.
yeah.
What do we have to worry about? It's
The
all
hot dog guy's just
clean
chilling
and
here, yeah.
Right. Yeah, we're gonna drive to Woodbridge to our palatial estate or whatever. But,
Yeah. all right, that's
Cool,
it.
thanks,
Let's
man.
go get some more
Awesome.
drinks
Yeah,
then.
yeah, sounds good. That's fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great.